Perfect.
Gyökeres to Arsenal. I guess everybody has to learn this, huh? For you guys.
It's gonna be a I can't wait to see the Batman masks that are just fingers.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
It's gonna be dope though. I think he has a really good celebration, which is crazy, but it's gonna be dope. What are we thinking here? Is Gyökeres able to give us that amount of output that he's been doing in the how do you call it, Primera?
Primera,
Yeah.
Liga Primera.
Yeah.
So it's not that he's not going to put out the same numbers.
Of course, we know.
But the scaling ratio. But I want to talk about the fact that I think that it's more important when those goals come rather than how many goals.
Yeah.
Because you start running into the situations like, Arsenal have 4 guys that are forward-thinking players that are going to score 8 to a dozen goals apiece. That's what they've been doing for the last 3 years. That's what Arteta's decided to be. The issue is that none of them are guaranteed goal scorers. What they do is they create a horseshoe around the box and sort of bully you into submission. And the ball's coming from all 1,000 places.
Yeah.
And the one weak link is where you're going to get brought down at. But they've also shown that if you have a solid enough low block, you can survive that storm. You need somebody that's going to be able to break through that back line and deliver consistent, but maybe not flamboyant numbers. Yeah. Me personally, if it was my club that was in this scenario, if he scored the same amount of goals as a Saka, as an Odegaard, if he's just part of that same buildup, but it's when those goals come.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing. You don't need a hat trick every 4 games or so, like Erling Haaland. Because he's shown, he can bully a Bournemouth, but he can also show up completely absent against the big sides. You need someone that's going to score, a goal every game, every other game, because with a back line that's that solid as Arsenal, you're very rarely going to be down 2-0, 3-0, where somebody needs to pull out this crazy magic. What he needs to do is score enough goals to turn those 1-1 and 0-0s into 1-0 to 2-1. Yeah. He just needs to be able to turn that tide. And as long as those, 12 to 16 goals, and I'm lowballing there in terms of what people want to expect, if those are consistently spread out when the rest of the team is not firing, those are more important than, 28 goals because you gathered a bunch of up against a, Wolves, against a Bournemouth, against a, Luton Town from several years ago. Like, you expect big performances in those matches, but no, man, seriously, give me a consistent 1 goal against the big 6 in those big matchups, and then disappear all season, because everybody else can clean up after that. I think that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, 54 goals across 52 games or matches, however you feel like. But in matches, we're talking about 1.25. What's that ratio per 90 minutes? So that's a lot of
it's
goals.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
The productivity is very, very good. Yeah. And you're talking about Premier League. Of course, I don't think the expectation for him the first year is to be like Haaland, because people come in different species. Haaland he's a monster, but if he gives that though, there's no problem.
But Haaland's also shown that he can't continuously do that.
That's true. But I think for Haaland, I have a fix though. I think he doesn't have the good passer that he. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I believe Gyökeres can give, even if his first season, I believe he can give us. Well, Arsenal. I say us because you know me. I fluctuate.
The viewer.
30 goals. That's on the minimum.
In all counts.
Yes. The reason why I say that, he is someone that creates opportunity. And he takes what he can and, creates what he don't see. And he will be in a team that creates opportunity.
Yes.
So,
if anything, Arsenal does create opportunities.
So, you have a side that creates opportunity, and you have a striker that takes chances. Merged together, it's a deadly weapon. Then, even when I was looking today into Madrid, and the fact that I know we were saying about the transfer be probably a bad move, but it's not so much of a bad move. The way I started looking at it today, just because when you look at him, Arsenal bringing Madrid to be a left wing, which I think that's the idea.
Yeah, I agree.
You have a guy that will be a left wing and could be a potential substitute for Saka when he's not there because he can do both. You have a guy that can create chances. He might not be a good finisher, but if he can create chances and get it to Gyökeres, which is an outstanding finisher, then you have a deadly weapon. You have Madueke, Gyökeres, Saka. That's very good. The only thing that I feel like might be a problem, but it's not really a problem. I think we will see how he progress and work onto this or work these things out is the aerial capability. Just 5 goals in the whole season. And Arsenal is really big into area capabilities.
Yeah, especially from the set pieces. And I think that Madueke is more so. The criticism was not that he's a bad signing. I think he's a good rotation player. I think it was the fact that that happened right on the back of the news, rumors rather, of Rodrigo being more and more possible. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it pulled away. Yeah. And Madueke comes in, and it's just not a 1-for-1 replacement. That's because you are looking for somebody to at least challenge. You're looking for somebody to take over that spot from Martinelli because it's not been working. Whereas Madueke is more challenging for that starting position rather than Rodrigo, who immediately walks in. Would I mind at all if Madueke still remained a rotation player, but Rodrigo still came in, and now all of a sudden you have an abundance of forwards fighting over certain positions. That wouldn't bother me at all. It was just the fact that it was like there have been several times in Arsenal recent history where the big signing goes away, but they're like, oh, well, hold on, here's this guy, and you're like, well, no, because that's not what we wanted. It's not so much the quality of the player himself, it's that what was promised versus what was delivered, or the fact that you made a hope feel like a sure thing. So then all of a sudden, no matter who comes in, if it's not that top person that you've been saying, it feels like a bit of a deflation.
Yeah. On the other side, though, Saliba, a little bit of controversies in the news. From what I've read, although the way he phrased things can give mixed feelings or mixed signals, he said about having a current an extension or a new deal, which is his current deal expires in 2027 and having a new contract. He says, hopefully, let's see. So when hopefully is not certain, because you're saying hopefully, it might not or it might, and let's see is a feeling of if it happens, which is not great, because when you hear as someone that's just a bystander or a fan or whatever, now you start thinking, will he leave the club? But I think if Arsenal have a good contract for him, I think he will sign it.
I agree. Yeah. It feels less about the money.
Yeah.
The contract doesn't feel, and it's been the conversations around the club. It's been the conversations around the player. Yeah. The rumored clubs that are desiring to sign him. It's not so much a scenario of Vinny Jr. Although Vinny Jr. is at a destination club, all of his contract disputes have really been about the payments. Can Madrid afford, because they even said, well, you're going to have to talk down your own wages, or we're just not going to re-sign you. I feel like the Saliba stuff is tied more to when is the project going to finally yield the major results? Because he likes the project. It's clear, as if you're a fan watching the players, you can tell who's invested and who's not, and he's 100% on board with the methods, with the squad, with the goals. But the idea of re-signing, it purely comes from, well, we do need to scratch out the end result at a certain point. And if other clubs are willing to, offer me that same deal, I feel like he would be the one that would take a pay cut to go to a PSG, to a Real Madrid, to a Barcelona, to accrue the silverware. It's less about the money and more about, I want to see this thing succeed. Yeah. But if it can't, then I will respectfully move on. And I think that any fan should understand that it's when the money gets in the way that fans can kind of take things personally and sneer at the player and do that whole thing. But, you have to be able to look inward and self-reflectively at the club and say, can we actually do this? Yeah. And I think that most Arsenal fans believe that they actually can win the league. And it's not been, a fool's errand the last 3 seasons to try to get there. There have been very real bids for it. And it's the tipping point. And these new signings are reflecting major change, and he was one of the early major changes in this whole thing. So, I think that this might be the last season in which he says, I am 110% on board for this project.
Yeah.
But we need to see the results now.
In that though, just to add a little piece, I'm thinking, yes, a lot of people, a lot of consensus about Arsenal as a club gunning for title have always been they are doing great, but it doesn't feel like they are actually in shape or want to compete for that silverware. They want to have it so bad. But I feel like the recent signings, even last year, or the recent signings and players and involvement of both the coach and the new management,
the sporting director. Yeah, he came in and basically he is the reason that we are actually spending the money that we're supposed to be spending to make those strides and those great changes.
Definitely.
So now it does feel
like they're taking that seriously. They want to win. They want to get the silverware. So like you said, if the goal is clear and that everyone is working towards that goal, then I feel like a lot of players will want to stay. Because if you think about it, Arsenal winning any silverware that's a major, be in the league or the Champions League, in its current state, because they haven't won that. It's been a long time since they won, and the player has been there. These players will want to be part of that history because the history becomes more impactful. If you win at Real Madrid is good, but it's not like Real Madrid haven't been winning. But if you win at a club that have been scratched off by anyone and they've been building this thing, it makes it more impactful. It's a good storyline, and everybody loves a good underdog story.